Hey, how's it going? Howdy, folks. It's good to see you again. Wait, I don't see you. Hey, just wanted to talk to you about something today. First of all, today is the 23rd, 24th. I gave you a video yesterday, and I'm wearing the same shirt. Don't judge. Now, I just wanted to tell you this one thing, okay? So listen close. This may save or possibly change your lives, okay? Sometime in about, I don't know, in the 1980s, my grandpa lived right down the street from me, okay? My grandpa was this big dude, bigger than me, and he used to sit in this chair like this. He would just sit back like this. Big dude, right? Grandpa sitting in the chair, and he would just bark out orders to everybody. He was like a loud, boisterous person. Hey, kids, come here. Hey, my grandma's name is Margaret. Margaret, bring me some food. I don't know. He's just kind of a funny guy, right? Kind of annoying, obnoxious, but still funny. One thing that my grandpa loved was eggs, okay? He loved eggs so much that he always had chickens, and he never really went out to do the chickens, feed the chickens. He'd always make me and my cousins do it, okay? So one day I remember, it was probably a Sunday, me and my cousin Dustin were sitting on the floor in front of my grandpa's chair, wrestling around, messing around, something like that. And my grandpa goes, hey, Dustin, Ben, come here. Well, I looked over at my cousin, and my cousin, he looked at me, and we walked over to Grandpa. He's like, hey, kids, go get the eggs. I'm like, you want us to get the eggs, Grandpa? Yeah, go gather the eggs. Now, I looked at my cousin, he looked at me, and I was kind of like, nah. He's like, no. We didn't want to get the eggs, okay? Now, we didn't want to get the eggs because of this very one reason. My grandpa had the meanest rooster on the face of the planet. This thing would attack you and kill you if he could. We called him the Terminator because the sucker never died. I remember one rooster when I was a kid, and it was the same rooster. No others, right? So he would kill you. And to an 8, 9-year-old kid, this thing was like Godzilla in chicken form, right? So anyway, I'm turned to my grandpa. I'm like, Grandpa, we don't want to go get the eggs. He said, what? What do you mean you don't want to go get the eggs? Well, I looked at my cousin, and my cousin, he looked at me, and we're like, well, Grandpa, you know that really mean rooster you have? We kind of think he will kill us. And my grandpa got this look on his face like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you two boys a couple of weenies or what? And he looked at us and he said, are you two a couple of pansies? Well, I looked at my cousin, and my cousin looked at me, and I'm like, my cousin's like, nah, we're not pansy. Nobody calls me a pansy, Grandpa. We'll go get the eggs. So, me and my cousin walked out the back door, headed toward the chicken coop, okay? Well, we got about halfway out there, and I looked at my cousin, and my cousin, he looked at me, and I'm like, hey, Dustin, what are we gonna do? The Terminator will kill us. There's a decent chance that we are not coming out of this thing alive. And he looked at me and he's like, dude, I got a plan. Just wait here for a second. And my cousin went over to my grandpa's shed that he had in the backyard, right? And he's gone for probably 5 minutes. I hear rustling around in there, messing around. And he comes back and he has a pitchfork. Now, some of you kids don't understand what a pitchfork is because you're like a bunch of city kids. But a pitchfork is like a giant fork like this, right? And it's on like a shovel handle, and you use it to like fork hay and stuff like that, right? So he's like, dude, we got this pitchfork, and I will run into the chicken coop first. I will try to stab the Terminator and distract him while you run in, get the eggs, and then come back out with the eggs, and everything will be fine. I'm like, dang, that's a good idea. I think that will work. He's like, yeah, it'll work. I'm like, okay, cool. So we walked out to the chicken coop. My cousin had the pitchfork in hand, right? So walking out to the thing, and my grandpa had like this chicken palace, man. It was like a chicken barn. And it had this great big enclosed with chicken wire chicken run. And then you had to go through the chicken run to actually get to the chicken coop, which was the old barn, run into there and then back out. But that whole chicken run area, that was like the Terminator's territory, man. And he did not mess around with kids coming into his territory. So the idea, open the gate, Dustin runs in, distracts the Terminator with the pitchfork. I run through the chicken run into the coop, grab the eggs, come back out, right? So we walk up to the chicken coop. We don't see the Terminator anywhere. And I look at my cousin, and my cousin, he looks at me, and we're like, hey, maybe the Terminator's dead. He's like, yeah, maybe he's dead. So my cousin reaches over to the gate to the chicken run, and he undoes the latch and opens the gate, and it made this sound like this. And as that sound sounded, we hear this noise from the chicken coop. It was like this. Bakak! Boom! Boom! In the doorway of the chicken coop steps the Terminator. And this is the hugest, nastiest looking rooster you have ever seen in your life. I look at my cousin, shake a little bit. My cousin looks at me, and we look at the Terminator, and I swear, the Terminator looked us in the eyes and goes, Bakak, daring us to enter his domain. And I looked at my cousin looked at me, and we're like, dude, I don't know. He's like, no. We gotta be brave, brother. We gotta be brave. So my cousin opens up the door as far as it will go, steps in to the chicken run. The Terminator looks him in the eyes like this and starts to run towards my cousin as fast as he can. My cousin's like, Terminator! Grabs the pitchfork, stabbing him, at him with the pitchfork. The Terminator's like, juking around. And I'm just kind of standing there watching. I'm like, what do I do? He's like, run, man, run! So I run as fast as I can through the chicken run area into the chicken coop, around the corner, to the edge where the nests were, where the chickens were laying their eggs, right? And there's a bunch of chickens sitting there in a row. I run over. I reach under the chickens. I see 4 eggs. I grab 2 eggs, put them in this pocket, grab the other 2 eggs, put them in this pocket. I turn around, walk out towards the door, look out into the chicken run where my cousin was grappling with the Terminator, and I see the Terminator standing there. But my cousin is nowhere to be found. And the Terminator looks at me, and I look at the Terminator, and I look for my cousin, and I'm like, Dustin, where are you? And from far away, I hear this noise, this like call back to me like, Ben, I'm sorry. the Terminator almost killed me. And I'm like, what? What am I supposed to do then? And he's like, run, man, run. So I looked at the Terminator. The Terminator looked at me. And it was like I was in that movie, The Sandlot, you know, when the kid jumps over the thing to get the ball from the beast. Yeah, it was like that. And he had his special shoes on, you know. So I look at the Terminator. The Terminator looks at me. He stomps his foot in the ground, rakes the ground with his talons, daring me to come into his domain. And I just put on the speed, man. As fast as I can. I run through the chicken run as fast as I can. Turns like, running right towards me. And he's like coming like this, and I'm going like this, and we're about to meet, and the door's right here. And just as my hand reaches out to grab the gate, to open it up, the Terminator jumps into the air, flaps his giant wings like this, whoosh, whoosh, reaches out his talons like this, and slices me with his claws right here on the side of my head. I'm like, no, please. And the Terminator's like, digging in his talons into the side of my head. I feel the life starting to drain out of me, out the side of my head. No, somebody help me. Then I heard this sound like this. Thwop. And the Terminator fell from the side of my head and hit the ground. And I looked around. I'm like, hey, what's that? And there standing next to me is my cousin, pitchfork in hand. And he's like, dude, I hit it with the pitchfork. And there's the Terminator laying on the ground looking like he's dead. We're like, what? Dude, you killed the Terminator. He's like, yeah, I killed the Terminator. I did it. We walk out of the chicken coop, right? We walk out of there. And we're looking at the Terminator doing this, Terminator's dead, oh yeah. And we close the gate to the chicken run. And it makes this sound like this. And as that sound sounded, we looked down at the Terminator. And his right wing began to twitch like this. And his right leg twitched like this. And his beak twitched like this. And before our very eyes, we watched the Terminator stand up, look at us, stare us in the eyes, go, bakak, turn around, walk away, back into the thing. I'm sitting there like, dude, no way. My cousin's like, this is a bad thing. This is bad. He's like, yeah. And he asked me like, where's the eggs, bro? And then I like felt down to where my eggs were in my pockets, and it was just wet all the way down my legs. The eggs had broken in my pocket. I'm like, Grandpa's gonna kill us. Blood trickling down like this from the side of my thing, okay? So we like go into the house looking like we just got beat and walk up to my grandpa. My grandpa's like, what happened to you guys? What's with the blood? I'm like, well, we told you the Terminator, he would attack us, and he attacked us. He's like, well, where's my eggs? And I said, well, I put my eggs in my pocket, they broke, and yeah. He's like, you guys are a couple of pansies. That's all there is to it. You guys are a couple of pansies. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do about my head? It's like bleeding really bad. He's like, I'll rub some dirt on it. So I went outside, rubbed some dirt on it, right? It got infected. I had to go to the hospital. And yeah, that's what happened, kids. you wanted to know, that's what really happened. Have a nice day.